I have my own brand as well, and I want to play the long game on some of those things. But in the position I was in, this was appealing for this reason. I could literally start for less than $500 and my time. I just needed to hustle, and then cash flow would start coming in, and that's how it worked out for me.
Welcome to the High Voltage Business Builders Podcast, a show where we interview high voltage entrepreneurs growing and scaling through e-commerce, real estate, and other wealth without Wall Street ventures, showing you the path to making your first or next million.
I think we talked. I have, my story everybody wants you to tell, and then, the bullet points for the business model, and like wherever you want me to go, I'll talk about whatever.
Well, we'll go wherever we want to go today. So Ben, thanks for coming on the call, man, because I know we had some fun initial conversations about your model and our model, and it's slightly different in nature. You want to break down some of the differences and maybe what you're doing and what you understand about what we're doing, and let's just get the combo rolling and in the business world, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting. I'm doing also what you're doing, probably poorly compared to how our pre-call went. Sounds like this guy's a genius. If you're listening to this, you probably know that already. But what I typically, or where I came up and the business model we teach is around dropshipping. And I know dropshipping gets a bad rap. You think it's, some guru standing next to his rented Lambo telling you to dropship some stuff from AliExpress. That's not what
That's exactly what it is, Ben. Come on now.
Look, dropshipping is simply a method of fulfillment. And so
Yes, it is. That's right.
it's not a business model. But what we teach is focus on high ticket products so that you have margin to go run ads and sell products people are already looking for. So a good example I like to use is I was part of the business standingdestination.com. All of the brands on there, if you're looking for a standing desk, you've heard of all of those brands. And so we simply need to step in front of you, whether that's through SEO, whether that's through Google Ads, which is two of my favorite places to be. There's already demand for these products. I don't have to go create demand. I don't have to interrupt you on social media and try to get you to like my product or be interested in my product or on TikTok or whatever. You're already searching for these products. And so think of us like REI, right? Very dedicated niche retailer, but they have everything you're looking for. And if you go to Amazon and you try to ask questions about a standing desk, no one's going to answer you, right? There's no information online. So if you can be a standing destination, which provides that information, can give you real advice on what you should or shouldn't have based on your setup or what your needs are, people are going to buy from you, right? It's be a source of information on the internet.
So if I go to your Instagram, you're telling me I'm not going to find you standing against Lambos. Is that what you're telling me?
You will not. And funny story, I don't know what I did, but I can only like photos. I can't post. I can't comment. I can't DM.
On your Instagram.
Yeah, I have no idea what I did wrong. The last thing I posted is
too many political memes or something, or what did you put out there that got you banned?
I am not a political guy, that's for sure. So I
don't know what it is, dude.
I think the last thing I posted is this amazing video of my son. My wife woke him up and he just starts screaming at the top of his lungs. It's a video I frequent a lot. I'm sure no one cares about my son other than me, but I don't know. I'm not sure what I did wrong. Thankfully, I don't really consume on Instagram. I'm more of a Twitter guy, and so I don't really care that I can't do it.
Something about IG's been weird, dude. I'll just tell you my thing on it recently that happened to me in a similar weird capacity, and that was how they have the little captions, like if you upload a video and you push the caption button, it's supposed to give you a really cool little auto-generated caption. For a month and a half, it didn't work. It just stopped working. It wouldn't let me do the captions, and I'm like, all my friends were like, hey, let me try it, and they could get it to work on theirs, and I'm like, what? So I downloaded the latest update. It didn't happen. It wouldn't happen. And all of a sudden, almost a month and a half into that, it finally started working again, which I don't have any clue. I felt like they banned me for a second for something I did. I was like, why can't I put captions on my video? This is really strange. But who knows what that software is. Facebook itself has got some challenges. But you mentioned something about those things, and Facebook and Instagram and stuff and TikTok are pattern interrupts, right? And what you're talking about is I'm not interrupting a pattern to try to have an audience conversation with you. Like that weird drunk guy that just rolls up to a group of people and starts talking to them at randomness, right? You're talking about search traffic, SEO, someone's looking for this, and I simply just step in front of them and say, hey, was this what you were looking for? Which is a whole different mechanism, right?
Or answering questions, right? So one of my favorite resources, and you guys can definitely use this listening to this, go to answerthepublic.com, and whatever your product is, it's inside of a category, right? So if it's standing desk, just go to answerthepublic.com and put in standing desk and then hit go. And go look at all the questions people are asking. They're asking those questions about your products too. And so it doesn't have to be the bottom of the funnel keyword. You're going to make sales on that running Google AdWords on these high ticket products, but go be there's a whole customer journey on how they got to the right standing desk they were trying to choose. Right. And so you can do this with any product you have. Obviously, I know you guys focus a lot on Amazon, but off of Amazon, people are asking these questions. Go fucking answer them. Put out a piece of content and structure it the way Google wants you to for SEO, right? With the proper H1, the proper H2, and the supporting keywords and images and alt tags and all that good stuff. And then, catch somebody in a different spot in their journey rather than right when they're ready to buy, which is, again, mostly what Amazon is, mostly what Google AdWords is.
Yeah, it isn't to a degree. And I would only argue the difference that, audience conversation is typically having a topical conversation, if you will, at the water bar somewhere outside of Amazon. in our experience that they get that conversation audience, et cetera, they end up on Amazon to just reinforce a buying decision they made. That's why I refer to Amazon as the add to cart of the world, right? It's basically, I've made my decision. I'm really just validating some data points in my mind. And I'm really just looking for that product or listing, price, review, value statement, solution oriented objective I'm trying to do to just validate me clicking add to cart on my mobile app and doing it in, 30 seconds or less. That's my goal. So I'm
You,
having a slightly different conversational topic in my mind at the listing level, conversational level, than maybe you are at the interruption of the conversation and more of a, not really interruption. That's not saying it right, because that's the other half of this, but more of the, hey, you're in flow. I'm in the middle. You're in the middle of your customer journey, and I simply stepped into it a little bit sooner than you getting to Wayfair.com or somewhere else. And instead you're buying it from me, right?
I can see like how this would be good for brand like if people are
Yeah.
aware of brand. I think a lot, and I don't know anything about your community. A lot of people just throw up a product on Amazon, right? And it's like they're just
Yep.
trying to ride the algorithm, trying to make sales. Do you worry that like it's got to be the majority of people on Amazon are not branded products, and that like you're just kind of commingled along with these terrible Chinese sellers and people providing a bad experience, people providing a bad product? Realistically, like, are you worried about being lumped in there when somebody, like, I can see them going and searching on the web, finding a brand they like, and then choosing to buy it on Amazon? That's totally normal. Amazon takes a lot of sales that way, and that's fine. But if they just found like they're interested in a certain style or type, like even if they went down to like standing desk converter for 2 monitors, they got it narrowed down to that. They're going to go to Amazon, and then when they parse through there, how are they going to know what's good and what's not good? Because everybody can make good images, everybody can make good bullets and descriptions and A+ content and things like that. So like, are you worried about that at all? That there's way too much garbage being infused alongside of hopefully your good products?
Well, because it's you're talking about certain price points. Like if you move into certain tiers of buying, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 buyers based on price, based on solution, based on affinity, based on brand awareness or emotional intent. We're talking about different levels of buyers within Amazon. The ones you're sort of talking about, and I know where you and I agree on this because you're a high ticket dropship seller, and we'll get to that more in a second, is that we're selling products that not just are the mass department level, category level products where what you're talking about becomes a big problem. We're talking about solution-oriented engineered projects, $50, $100, $300 in price point, in which the buyer is making more of a discernment. They are looking for something more brand-driven. And yeah, to your point, we are differentiating the products in Amazon at not only price, but brand, A+ content, et cetera, value. So we're not just commingling with Chinese sellers as part of our competition. We're actually targeting certain sellers within what we call a node in Amazon who are other brands, not just branded Chinese brands, but actual brands. So the products show up in packages. There's competition in that way. And it's not just a cheap Chinese box that shows up from what looked like a really good listing. Because there's that crap happens all the time, right? And people are getting smart about it. We did a product research thing one time where we went in and my partner ordered 10 different products from Amazon in 10 different areas within the same niche. Got 10 of those products. Only 3 of them actually have branded product boxes for the brands. The other 7 just had the regular like box brand Chinese writing on the side in some cases and had just a completely bland look to it. So there is differentiations that you can make in there that make you rise differently. Now, to your point, to the algo versus the customer, 2 different things. Amazon sells to the customer. You're also selling more to the customer on your direct to consumer. We're selling more to the algo. We want the algo to show us to the higher affinity brand people, driven people, prime people who are spending more than $1,000 a year of the 100 million prime members. There's like 150 million of them, but Amazon says 100 million of them, are spending more than $1,000 a year. That's who we're targeting, right? So we're going after a very different group inside of Amazon's avatar. So we don't concern ourselves as much about that. Plus, we're coming in very heavy on the brand, IP, trademark, et cetera, which gives us a different level tier of traffic within Amazon. I know people don't understand what I just said by that, but there's a different level of distribution and traffic in Amazon.
That's the first time I've heard it, and you're piquing my interest, right? Like I sell some pet supplements, and I try to be at the top end, right? Like I don't want to, mostly because I don't want to sell to the human who's buying the shitty one, or
Right.
buying the cheap stuff. I just
Bad
it's all for me.
customers.
It's the human behind the screen, right? Like
Correct.
when you look at a website, 100 people come, 2% conversion rate is fantastic. Those
Yep.
other 98 people raised their fucking hand because they want some information from you that you didn't provide, right? And so, like, of those 100 people, I want to make sure that's 100 people I actually want to serve that are going to be good customers to me and not someone just looking
Yeah.
for a bargain. And so, like, I like what you're saying, that you're choosing the right products, but I had never heard someone explain the algorithm in that sense. So, and I know we talked a little
Very
bit about this on a
algorithmic
pre-call. I
driven
want to hear
there.
more about that.
Well, it's very algorithmic driven, similar to the search engines and stuff. Obviously, it's delivering product, not information per se, right? It's delivering product just in time for customer intent who already had that conversation, that audience, that et cetera. They are in their buying pattern looking at Amazon at this point for trust and control, and as well as returns and other things they believe they have control over in their customer journey themselves, all the way through to the end. We're simply getting in the middle of that and saying, hey, we're the better of the 10 brands in this area. You want to check our product out. Well, when we do that in time and tier, we'll raise our prices 5, 10, even up to $20 more than the competition in that tiered space. And then we simply go back with that extra profit and buy up all the traffic of the other consumers in that space. And we simply show our product ahead of theirs, right? Which also tells the algorithm we're better. So in time, distribution channels rise up inside of Amazon, and there are other tiers of unlocking traffic content, premium content within Amazon when you reach certain levels of amount of SKUs, amount of selling SKUs, amount of traffic on those SKUs. That's why it's hard to play the short game on Amazon. That's why a lot of people get frustrated. It's why the whole don't throw one product up on the wall and see what sticks nonsense with these courses, craps, and hopium programs leads so many people into that death march that you just mentioned, right? Where in like 4 or 5 months, they're like, this thing sucks, I want out, because they just blew a bunch of money on the system and they don't understand how it actually works. But there is that opportunity to do that. Now, we are incubating that channel. Like you and I talked a little bit about on our pre-call, and like a lot of people on here actually understand. We're incubating that in Amazon. We're just validating brand, price, product type, intent, customer. What's the upside potential of it? How do we turn organic, from PPC? And when we start to see all these metrics trending the right way, we can make that into a direct-to-customer channel. There's a case study I just put in my business builders yesterday of a brand that sold for $630 million that started on Amazon as a native Amazon channel seller that moved retail and DTC. Once they did that, they just sold for $630 million. So there's huge upside potential for doing this right.
Yeah, look, no question. Most of commerce happens on Amazon. I don't think there's an argument there as far as but I do think there's a price point at which it doesn't make sense to sell on Amazon anymore. I'm sure, as you know, you wake up every day where it says refund initiated to blah, 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 right? Or for order number, blah, blah, blah. And there's nothing you can do about it. And so imagine if that's happening and your price point's up in the $1,000, $2,000, $3,000.
Better be good at your numbers.
Yeah. Or Amazon owns you. That's the only part I don't like about Amazon. It's not your customer. It's not your playground. You can certainly play with the algorithm. You can do things to position yourself in a good way, but I like to own my customer.
There's opportunity cost with both of that. And you're right.
Yeah.
Let's make sure we understand the transparency of this, because you're telling the truth. Amazon is not your friend in this way as a seller, any more than Facebook's your friend if you jack around with one advertorial they don't like and shut your entire account off. Or maybe you have an account attached to a business account and you're posting some stuff online and make a comment they don't like for community guidelines, and they blow away your profile, and boom, so is your business manager. So, I mean, we got background, we got different areas of risk at every level we play on someone else's platform. Some just are comfortable at different levels and at different places in there. And yeah, Amazon is one of those things you got to not mess around with. As I hear so much all the time, a guy literally came in a week ago, actually 2 weeks ago, and had mentioned, he needed some help with some Amazon businesses and would really like to figure out how to get this done right, because he'd gone through one of those drop shipping done for you things, and it cost him about $108,000 in losses.
Jeez.
Because they shut his accounts down. Like if you're going to drop wholesale drop ship, even FBA drop shipping on Amazon, and you can't prove the brands and you can't go backwards into the channel and prove the manufacturer of record is yours, they'll shut you down. And they shut him down. He was not playing by the rules. So there's those things too, right? And I know you have that, right? You don't play by the rules with Google, and they'll shut you down, right?
Yeah, to a point. I mean, I do feel like Amazon's its own monster, and it's a bit of a black box, right? When you try to get assistance, you're not always getting the best assistance possible. I will say, I ran across, knock on wood, I haven't ran across most of the problems you see on the internet that people complain about Amazon, but I did have one, and I had to email Jeff at Amazon.com, and the day before Christmas, Jeff, or his assistant, I'm sure, solved whatever it was and gave us our money back and made the problem right. But that's a frustrating part of the business.
There can be that, no doubt about it. That's part of that. There is a little bit of a black hole. It gets a little better when you get brand registration and brand trademark, because now you're at a different level of support. And then obviously when you get selling to a certain level, you get a brand rep, and that kind of changes a lot. And their brand reps are actually much more intelligent, dialed in, and available to do things for you than, say, a Facebook ad rep, which anybody running Facebook ads knows that's kind of a joke.
The reality is it doesn't matter your business model. There's hurdles to jump over. Wherever you are, there's
for every
you have to deal with something. So
there are.
Some people describe it as a prison, or they say business is hard. I don't like to go that angle, but you choose the game you're going to play. Which game you want to play. And I don't think any of them are wrong. They just all have their own football and baseball are very different games, but they're a game,
Yes.
right? And so
And
whether you
some
want to
people
sell
don't
on
like the
Amazon, whether you want to sell
right.
on Google, whether you want to be an influencer and sell products that way, like Logan Paul, like there's a million ways to play this game.
There are actually, and
Choose yours.
this what confuses so many people, right? Because there are a million ways to make money, and there's a little bit of analysis paralysis. So how did you determine that high ticket drop shipping was something that you wanted to keep doing? How'd you get successful at it? Like, what was the first thing you did where you realized, hey, this is something I want to go dig deeper into?
Yeah. So I think I didn't know shit. Like I started, I was huge into the UFC. And every time someone would get knocked out, I heard Joe Rogan say, "Oh, he got hit right on the button." And I was like, "Oh, I should start on the button fight gear. Tap out exists.
Nice.
Why not start that?" So I started it, sponsored a bunch of local fighters, and like that flopped. Anyway, don't do clothing, people. Never do clothing.
The clothing's not, no.
It was
We
not
talked
fun.
about that before. Don't do clothing.
Yeah,
Don't do
it was not.
electronics.
So I kind of took that as an L, and I didn't do shit for years. And then like I didn't really have any role models. Like my dad worked at a factory. My mom was a CNA. When I started this journey, I was working at a factory at a Walmart distribution center. My wife was a CNA. Like I was just living the life I thought I knew. I'd married into a family who was a dentist, and his wife was his assistant, and they were millionaires, on assets or whatever. And so I kind of got to see a little bit, but I didn't know. So like I started just trying to figure out a way to make more money. I made it to first shift at that Walmart distribution center, which was the holy grail, and I was like, oh fuck, this sucks. I got to get out. So I started flipping shit on eBay from garage sales, from clearance aisles, and I was like, oh, this is not scalable. Like I appreciated the extra money, but this wasn't scalable. And I stumbled across the term drop shipping, and I saw someone explain high ticket drop shipping at that point. And I was like, oh, this makes sense. You're actually building a real business that's sellable. It's an actual asset. You're not, just turn and burning websites. You're actually building a business. And so I figured I'd give it a shot. And so the first business I built was the 3dprinterguy.com. I sold that one in less than a year for my year's pay at a Walmart distribution center, which in hindsight, that wasn't that much, but fuck, was that amazing at that time. That was huge at that time to be able to like sell that
Big win.
business. And so
Yeah.
I think that's when my eyes really opened. It was just like, it might even been the first sale. Like I sold a 3D printer to Duke University. It was my very first sale. And it happened at midnight. I had to work at 4 a.m. I was still awake at midnight on a Sunday night. And, I'm staring at my phone, scrolling, whatever we do, laying in bed. And it, cha-ching, and I was like, holy shit. Like I just made money while I'm laying here in bed, butt ass naked. I ran out like a little schoolgirl and dancing, screaming to my wife. And like, I think that was the moment of like, oh shit, you can do
Big
this.
moment.
Yeah. Anyone, if you're listening to this and you've had a first sale, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's life-changing to make your first dollar on the internet. However you do that, you start seeing that there's different possibilities. And so that's where it started for me. And more so, it was like just seeing the scalability of this, seeing people who had done it before, and really looking at Wayfair, which was 100 different businesses that came together.
Yeah.
And now, they're a huge company, and they kind of
Yeah.
fucked us all in taxes. Thanks, Wayfair. But like, the rest of it, like there's a lot of possibilities there. And that's what opened my eyes, just like seeing the scalability, seeing the opportunity to build and sell and make multiple years of income in one go. That's appealing, especially to somebody at that time. I was $40,000 in consumer debt. Like I was in a bad place financially, and this seemed like a way out.
Yeah. And we have some folks we know who do drop shipping, of course, and we have done some of it in the past as well. In fact, some of our test strategies are drop shipping until we validate the product and then move it into full FBA distribution, because we can rapid test, rapid deploy. But it isn't the full end of our model. We just know we can't do that long enough to get obviously caught by the system or jack around with it, which we don't want to do. But there's that aspect of, again, drop shipping is negative if you take it to the AliExpress, Lambo side. What you're talking about is more business drop shipping, where you're creating more high level affinity, products, types, price points. Can you give us some more specifics or maybe a rundown of what the steps are for the kind of thing that you do with the drop shipping and the high ticket?
Yeah. So I want to come at this two ways. Number one, I want to show you like how you're building a real business, but I can definitely give you the steps. But like, first, I just want to mention, like, if you are a resource on the internet, like drop shipping actually makes sense. Like imagine I was part of a golf company. We sold products to golfers. I can't really go too deep into this, but we ranked number 1 and number 2 for the main keyword in our category. We sold all the big brands, and we ranked for best category, right? Like, and if you're ranking for that, how hard is it for you to start listening to your customers who are buying the stuff and saying, well, I wish it did this, I wish it did that. And we simply created our own version, and then we're number 1 for best category. Why not just put our stuff right as number 1? Like we came up with the best product, right? And so like that, to me, I was profitable the entire way doing this and building a real business that's sellable. And now on top of that, I can insert my own product, and it's not in that couple $100 price range. Ours was $8,000, right? With the margins you have on your products, right? And so like that was appealing to me. But if you think about like the biggest factor on why this was appealing to me at $40,000 in debt was because you can start for less than $500. And I'm not kidding, right? So like, it's going to cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars to launch a franchise. It's going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars to launch a real brand if you really want to get going here. For a high-ticket dropshipping brand, you're going to need to own a domain, so $12 probably. Shopify, which is $29 a month. You might need a paid theme. I don't think you need one, but you definitely could have one. $180 to $300 there. Google Workspace. So you're going to want to have your name at yourbusiness.com at the domain you bought, right? That's $12 a month. You're probably going to want an 800 number. I recommend Grasshopper. That's $40 a month. You might want to get some branding done so you actually look like a real business. That might cost you 25 or 50 bucks on Fiverr. And then you're going to run Google Ads, and that's it, right? Like, you're going to reach out to these suppliers. You're going to speak to them about becoming a retailer for their brand, upload their products, and you're going to run Google Ads. And Google's going to give you either spend 150, get 150, or spend 500, get 500. And you should be able to get your first sale on either one of those. And at that point, you can just reinvest that profit right back into running more ads. And this becomes a machine that's hopefully going to be, $1 in, $2 out, $1 in, $3 out kind of thing, which is what we all hope our ROAS should be on any platform. And so at that point, you've started a real business, you're making real profit, and you're going to have to learn Google Ads, some SEO, some conversion rate optimization, some copywriting, how to code a little bit to understand Shopify. Like, you're going to get a marketing degree in a sense, while hopefully cash flowing the whole time. And to me, cash flow is king. So like, I'm all aboard what you do. And like, I actually, I have my own brand as well. And I want to play the long game on some of those things, but in the position I was in, this was appealing for this reason. I could literally start for less than $500 and my time. I just needed to hustle, and then cash flow would start coming in, and that's how it worked out for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's why I wanted you to come on here, because there's always options for choices. And, we talk a lot about private label branding and Amazon channel to DTC as you move that brand into multi-channels. And there is a longer term strategy to gain higher ground in there, as you mentioned, but there are, of course, different ways. It doesn't like, we're not talking about one way doesn't work better than the other. There's pros and cons. You just have to look at which one maybe fits you, fits your monetary situation, fits your goals, fits your objectives, maybe even fits your skill sets and your aptitude for what you want to do. And then this might be a good option for you, right? Listening to this right now, this might be something you're interested in. If it is, Ben, where are they going to get some more information?
Yeah, so we have a course at dropshipbreakthrough.com if you want your handheld. If you think you can just figure this out, go for it. Like our podcast, we literally give away everything for free. That's Dropship Podcast. You can find it on any of your favorite players. Start at number 1 and work through here. Like, I don't think this business model is hard. So like, it's simple. And so we wanted to give it away. And if you want someone to hold your hand and teach you Google Ads and SEO and things like that, then that's what our course is for. But by all means, if you're listening to this, you're a podcast junkie like myself, go listen to our podcast.
Guys, I would encourage you to do that. Ben's brought some great information and golden nuggets today. You might want to re-listen to this one again, because just like me, he talks pretty fast. And there was a lot of good details covered in that just now. And you might want to go back and take another listen. Ben, thanks for coming on. Thanks for debating some topics. And thanks for just being a great guy, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
If you like this episode, please share it with people you think will enjoy it as well. Thank you for listening. And be sure to tune in next week for a brand new episode of High Voltage Business Builders.